Jefferson County Court at law number 2 is now in session. The court is in session. And cause number M332-118. Case to style the state of Texas versus Onisha Dene Matoir. Let the record reflect that Ms. Matoir is present in court with her attorney Ryan Kimler. Let the record also reflect that the state is present with Assistant District Attorney Andrew Huber and Assistant District Attorney Haley Simmons. Let the record reflect that the jury is now present and seated in the courtroom. State, are you ready?
State's ready, Your Honor.
Defense, are you ready?
That's right.
Mr. Huber, you may call your next witness.
State calls Lieutenant Isaiah Seltzer.
Lieutenant, would you please come forward? Okay, you stand right here. Lieutenant, would you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
You may put your hand down. You can have a seat on the witness stand. Just probably leave it like that. Mr. Huber, you may proceed.
Thank you. Get the name Lieutenant Seltzer. Can you get along yourself? Can you introduce yourself to the jury?
I'm Lieutenant Isaiah Seltzer.
How are you currently employed?
I work for multiple banks at Precincts Consulate Office in Jefferson County.
Okay. And what is your educational background and experience?
I went to school at Lamar in 2015, and I'm currently in school at LIT studying criminal justice and finished up my degree at Lamar for law as well.
And how long have you been in law enforcement?
Total, including my correctional experience, I believe is 7, maybe 8 years.
And you're a certified peace officer?
Yes, sir.
So where are your job duties at the constable's office?
Typically, I bail court at the time those are scheduled. I serve civil process papers, and I do everything that a normal patrol officer can do, for making arrests and things of that nature.
Have you ever worked for the Port Arthur Police Department?
Yes,
Okay. And what was your position while you were there?
I was a patrol officer and SWAT team.
Okay. And in 2021, and specifically in November of 2021, do you recall what your position there was?
Patrol.
And your job duties on patrol?
Pretty much patrolling the streets, answering calls, traffic, and anything else that came within the shift.
So do you recall responding to a call for service on November 22nd, 2021 at the Port Arthur Town Hall?
Yes.
Okay. And what was the nature of that call?
It was in reference to unauthorized use of motor vehicles, pretty much where the car had been sold.
And so you responded to the Port Arthur Town Hall?
Yes, sir.
And that's in Port Arthur, Texas?
Yes, sir.
In Jefferson County, Texas?
Yes, sir.
So, when you arrived, did you speak with the complaining witness, Steve Carter?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Was he the individual who reported his vehicle missing?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And did he show you the location where the vehicle was parked?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you have your body cam active during this response to the call?
Yes, sir.
May I approach?
Yes, you may.
And now showing me what's marked as state exhibit 12. Do you recognize it?
Yes, sir.
Can you tell me what it is?
Flash drive.
Okay, can you tell me what the contents of the flash drive is?
It should be my body camera and maybe car camera.
Have you had the opportunity to review your body camera footage?
Yes, sir.
And it's a fair and accurate copy, or yes, it's a fair and accurate copy or recording of the events as they transpired that night.
Yes, sir.
And it was made on a device capable of making accurate recordings.
Yes, sir.
And you're a competent operator.
Yes, sir.
And the video is not altered in any way.
No,
At this point, state the published defense for inspection.
If I could ask you a question.
Want to take him off order?
Briefly,
Yes, okay, you make, take him off order.
you've reviewed the flash drive, you've viewed it.
yes, sir.
Does it contain statements from Keith Carter?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, I would object that this flash drive states exhibit
Well,
12 contains statements from an out-of-court declarant offered for the truth of the matter asserted and therefore contains hearsay in part. So the portions of it that contain statements from Mr. Carter being an out-of-court declarant, that those statements are being proffered for the truth of the matter asserted or hearsay, and I object to that portion of the flash drive. I have no objection to this, anything this officer is stating or the video portion of the flash drive.
Okay, Mr. Hubel?
they would be offering the video just to prove the, that Keith Carter is the complaining witness in the case, that he was present at the Port Arthur Holmes, that he was the complaining witness in the case, and that that was the location of the offense. As far as the objection to hearsay, the statements are not being offered for the truth of the matter asserted because the complaining witness in this case does not is not certain as to what happened to his vehicle at all. When in this video, he can't speak to the truth as to what happened because he himself doesn't know the truth.
Your Honor, I mean, this would be like really basically the same as a written statement of the complaining witness, other than, I mean, it is in a different format. So I believe it's hearsay. Additionally, it would violate the defendant's right to confront and cross-examine witnesses under Crawford, even if for some reason the court finds it isn't hearsay. So we'll lodge an additional objection on those grounds. Now, of course, if, you know, once Mr. Carter testifies, I assume he will be, that may be possible to refresh his recollection or some other means to get that in through his testimony, but I don't believe he can do that portion of the tape containing Mr. Carter's testimony to this witness as a sponsor of the tape.
And
You haven't,
okay, at this point, the state will not be offering states 12.
okay, so you're not offering states 12 at this time?
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yeah,
I'm showing you what's marked as states 13 and 14. Do you recognize what's in these images?
Yes, sir.
Can you tell me what they are?
It's pictures of where the car was and the skid marks from, you know, where the car was.
And do you recall what device was used to take these pictures?
Yes.
Okay, what was that device?
The phone.
And it was your phone?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And the phone was capable of making accurate recording?
Yes, sir.
And these are fair and accurate copies of those photos that you took?
Yes, sir.
No alterations?
No.
At this point, statement was published to the purpose of order.
No objection.
no objection, states 13 and 14 are admitted?
And at this point, I would publish them to the jury.
Yes, you may.
And explaining that this was the parking spot that the complaint witness key card indicated to you was the spot where his vehicle was.
Yes.
Okay. And that was that vehicle a 1987 vehicle saver?
Based off of my report, yes, sir.
Now, were you able to get other information about the vehicle, such as the license plate and VIN number?
Yes, sir. Yes,
After speaking to Mr. Carter, did you conduct a search of the surrounding area for the vehicle?
sir.
And were you able to find it?
No, sir.
Did the complaining witness wish to file charges in this case?
Yes, sir.
After you gathered all the information from the scene, did you report the vehicle as stolen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. It was placed in the database for stolen vehicles?
Yes, sir.
And was that database?
DCT, NCIC, TCIC.
Can you explain how that works?
Pretty much on our end, what we'll do is we'll get all the information we can, what the vehicle, the make, model, year, color, VIN number, of course, and we give it to dispatch, and dispatch then enters it into the system, and they give us a, number, and, NIC number is what we call it, and it's on our report, and that's how it's done.
So after you placed the vehicle in that database, did that complete your response to this call?
Yes, sir.
Were you involved in this case in any way after your response?
No, sir.
No further questions.
Procedure.
Yes, Mr. Cameron, you may proceed.
How you doing?
Good on you.
Good, thank you. Approach.
Yes,
Yes, you responded. It was already evening time. We were out there. It was already dark.
Yes.
You took these pictures yourself, I guess. And this was the parking place that was identified to you where the vehicle had been.
Yes, sir.
So we've got a picture here of the back, see it from here, it's a little closer up.
Yes, sir.
Same space, right?
Yes, sir.
There appears to be some debris here. Right,
Yeah.
what was, do you know what that was?
So that debris, if you look at it closer, it appears as it came from the back. Maybe the car been, he did say that the car had been sitting there for a while, so it appeared that all this debris from back here,
Right,
ended up that way. I don't know, maybe it was pulled or what, but that's how far what it looked like the car was pulled.
pulled, meaning there was a tow truck or something that pulled it out, or some other vehicle pulled
Could
it
be
out.
pulled or pushed, that's how the skid marks look.
So the skid marks, it looks like that the wheels were locked when it was pulled out.
Yes.
Did you observe any broken glass, like windshield or window glass anywhere around? Don't remember. You see it on, I mean, you see it on. How did Mr. Carter, you said, the owner, how did he demonstrate to you that he was the owner?
He winked out the title from what I remember.
Okay.
I watched my body camera, and that's how.
And is that where you got the VIN
Yes, sir.
from? Obviously, you didn't get it from the vehicle because it wasn't there. It'd have to be from the title or some other documentation, right? Did you call the VIN in to see if it matched the description of the vehicle that he was giving you?
I gave it to dispatch and
They checked it.
that's how I was able to get all the year model and
So what day of the week or what date was it that you went out there and took this report?
based off my report, November 22nd, 2021, 21:08 hours.
21, what's that in non-military?
See, 13, 14, 15, yeah.
So what time is about
It's in the evening time, nighttime.
night?
Yeah.
21?
It's around 10.
10, so, okay, 10 p.m. And so dispatch would have gotten your information from the vehicle, the VIN, make and model at about 10 p.m. on the 22nd, you said?
It's up 22nd of November.
22nd November, 2021. And they would have entered that in as a stolen vehicle at that time, right? And is that instantaneous, that instantly goes into the system?
Yes, sir.
So say at 11 p.m. that night, if that car would have been, I don't know, we could say pulled over, but just subject of an investigation, and an officer would have called that VIN in to be checked, it would have come up as a stolen vehicle, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Within an hour, or we could say for sure within an hour of you calling that information
Yes, sir.
in? Okay. You're working for Alton Bays now, I guess, Constable?
Christopher Bates.
Oh, Christopher Bays, let's get it out now. Are you familiar with licensing or permitting of people with a tow truck business or a towing business? Or
Very
no?
vague, not really.
Okay, you don't really have any kind of knowledge or information. All right. Do you know if they need some sort of certification or certificate to be engaged in towing vehicles, engaged in salvage business?
Your Honor, I'm objecting because the witness has already signaled he doesn't have knowledge in this particular area.
We said it was vague, and you know or not?
Well,
I mean, that's what I don't.
okay, well, objection sustained. You can rephrase your question.
Well, do you know at all? Do you have any kind of knowledge at all or not? It's just completely ignorant.
Repeat your question?
Do you have any kind of knowledge of whether somebody engaged in towing vehicles for salvage has to have any kind of permits or certifications?
So based off some of my knowledge from Florida, they did have to have some type of permit with the city.
Okay.
And, yeah,
Were you able to identify who towed the vehicle or who was responsible for removing it?
was unknown if it was sold or not. Based off my report, dispatch confirmed through a manager that it was not sold. They did not authorize it, so.
Okay. So in your mind, it was stolen then, since there was no tow authorized?
Yes, sir.
Who would have stolen it?
Unsure.
Well, whoever towed it, right?
Unsure.
Unsure. Okay. Pass witness.
Okay. Mr. Hilbert, you may proceed.
I don't have any further questions. for this
Okay.
witness.
May this witness be excused?
Yes, sir.
Officer Sultan, you excused.
Thank
Call your next witness.
At this point, the state would ask for a short recess. The state's witness is currently on his way.
Okay. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna ask that you follow the bill into the hall. We'll be on a short recess. Everyone, please stand as the jury exits the courtroom. Court will be in recess.
It's, which is why.
So that's the same gas they got at Shell? Oh. Yeah, but it doesn't say Shell up there, it says gas line.
You may be seated. Jefferson County Court, Law number 2 is back in session. The court is in session and calls number M331, M332118, cases style of state of Texas versus Lanisha Danae Matoir. Let the record reflect that Mr. Matoir is present in court with our attorney. Attorney Wright Kimmer, State is present, Assistant District Attorney, Attorney Andrew Huber, and Attorney Haley Simmons. Let the record also reflect that the jury is now present and seated in the courtroom. Mr. Huber, you can call your next witness.
State calls Keith Carter.
Keith Carter.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Carter, would you please come forward? Just come forward, Mr. Carter.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Carter, would you please raise your right hand? Mr. Carter, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Carter, you may put your hand down and you may take a seat in the chair. Mr. Huber, you may proceed.
Thank you very much.
You are.
Good afternoon, Mr. Carter.
Yeah.
Can you introduce yourself to the jury?
Yes, I am Keith Carter.
No, Mr. Carter, do you know why you're here today?
Yes,
And why is that?
because car was stolen.
And what kind of car was that?
It was a 1997 Buick Sabre.
And you're the owner of that vehicle?
Yes.
Judge May, approach.
Yes, you may.
Showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 15, do you recognize it?
Yes,
And can you tell me what that is?
it's the title of my car.
And is it a fair and accurate copy of the title?
Yes, it is.
No alterations?
No.
This point opposed to defense for inspection?
What's the number?
15.
No.
No objection. State's Exhibit 15 is admitted.
So, so you do have a title of this 1987 Buick Sabre.
Yes, sir.
And how long have you maintained that title?
50 years, that was probably 05, 04, 2005, 2004.
And you still maintain that title in November of 2021?
Yes, sir.
Now, the, your 1987 Buick Sabre, where was it stolen from?
Port Arthur Park Townhome, where I live.
Is that in Port Arthur, Texas?
Yes, sir.
In Jefferson County?
Jefferson County, yes.
And now, you had the vehicle parked there because you yourself live there?
Yes, sir.
And how long had it been parked there?
At that time, I don't know, maybe
2 years. Well, I mean, off and on, because I had a lot of work done to that car. Spent a lot of money.
And just before it was stolen, did you have any work done to it?
Yes, I did.
So, and did that work return it to operating condition?
It was an operating.
But did the car sit in the parking spot for, extended periods of time?
Sometimes, yes, unless it was in the shop getting worked on.
When it was parked, did you check your vehicle often?
Yes, the day before it was taken, I just, tire had went down, I went, jacked it up, took the tire off, and aired the tire, and came back and put it on the car the day before it was taken.
So at what time of day did you become aware that the vehicle was missing?
It was around 12 noon on that day.
But, so is that when you became aware that the vehicle was stolen?
Oh, no, it was, I think, that was the next day. Because I didn't worry about it. It's on private property right in front of my home. I just probably was going through a lot of stuff and didn't pay attention to it on that day that it was taken.
Did you make a call to, law enforcement after you noticed that the vehicle was missing?
Right after I noticed it was gone.
Okay. And do you recall, and I'm asking about like time here, what time of day, the
That's
officer?
when it was around like 12 noon, something like that, I believe. I can't remember, it's been a good while back.
Yeah, it's been 3 years. But, and this all occurred in November 2021?
Yes, sir.
And to be clear, you didn't give authorization to move, possess, or otherwise use your vehicle,
No, sir, no one.
just yourself.
Yes.
So anything that was done to the vehicle, whether it was taken, moved, sold, that would have been done without your consent.
Yes, sir.
And can you tell me how you became aware of its disappearance?
Well, it's parked right in front of my apartment, and I always look at it, because, that was really my, like, project car that I was working on. I got some paperwork showing the people that worked on it, and mechanic shops and everything, that I was going to get it fixed. I was bringing it, it was up, but it ran, had the proper sticker, I had insurance on it and everything.
May I approach your arm?
Yes, ma'am.
Show you what's been marked and edited as states exhibit 13 and 14. Do you recognize what's depicted in these images?
Yes.
Okay, can you tell me what that is?
That's where the car was parked. This is my car and this is mine too. But if you see them tire marks, that's where it was drugged from over there on the side of the building. The building is here. And they bust the window out, and that's how they made entrance to it. But I see all the glasses on the side of the building.
Okay. And you're talking about tire marks. Can you see those tire marks more clearly in what's marked as states exhibit 14?
Yes, sir. That's how they would drugged. They didn't have a key in the car was locked. I'm not sure of that.
Permission to republish dates one.
Yes, ma'am. think you might have to call JT. Okay. Oh, there you go.
Mr. Carter, I'm showing you what has been previously admitted as state's exhibit number 1. If you could look in the top left corner, and there's a screen behind you, if that would make it easier.
Yeah, I have a picture of that.
Okay. Do you recognize the vehicle that is being towed?
That's my car.
Okay, that's your 1987 vehicle saver?
Yes, sir.
And you did not give anyone authorization to tow or move your vehicle
No, sir.
on November 22nd, 2021?
No, sir, I didn't.
You said that you had contacted Fort Rucker Police Department, correct?
Yes, sir.
And did an officer respond to the scene?
Yes, sir.
And did you relay to him all the relevant information that you knew about your vehicle and its disappearance at the time?
Yes, sir.
Was law enforcement ever able to find out what happened to your vehicle?
Well, I don't know about that officer, but the detective, Woodrow, told me that they.
Objection here, sir.
Objection sustained.
If you could just answer in a yes or no. Was law enforcement ever able to find out what happened to your vehicle?
Yes.
Okay. Were you able to recover it?
No.
State has a witness.
Mr. Kimball?
Thank you. Yeah, afternoon.
Oh,
Okay, have we ever been there?
right? Yeah.
You look familiar.
Yeah, you was my attorney.
I'm sorry about your car, by the way. I had to go through the Saber, they're great cars. Was it the LS or what was it?
So,
SLE? Okay. How many miles did it have on
well, just go ahead another engine. for
it?
it.
Oh, you just put a new engine in it?
Not a new engine.
Rebuilt?
Not a rebuild, but a used,
Yeah, I got you.
had low miles on.
We put that in for you.
The house.
The generation 2, or which engine, the same?
Yeah, the same engine.
Yeah. Ever have to replace the upper intake manifold on it? It went bad with the gas control valve or it leaked into the cylinder?
No,
No.
no, they just put a whole other engine.
Can I approach you?
Yes, you may.
I was kind of curious what was running at the time, right? Looking at these pictures, it looks like that when they pulled it out, it was in park,
Yes,
right? It's front wheel drive vehicle.
I believe it is, yes.
Yeah, and you were parked facing in, you weren't parked rear end facing in. So the front wheels would have been up here.
Yeah.
And if they're in park, they would have been locked, right? There wasn't any broken glass here,
I
right?
know, sir.
What, do you have any idea what all that debris is?
Because, you know, where it was parked at, I kept parking it in the same spot and just had some lot of bad weather coming through there. And it was like, never moved, you know, like weeks at a time, stuff like that.
Maybe when it was, if it were pitched forward, maybe it kind of dug in a little, the front end may have dug in, and I don't know.
Yeah.
But the point of it was running, it was a huge.
Oh, yeah, yeah, I just got through, like I say, paying $800 to get the front end done.
Control arms and all
All
that,
that,
yeah.
yeah, Towns, I remember that.
Who did?
Towns,
Okay,
auto service. Four-wheel drive.
and that probably ran over $1,000.
800, so.
Yeah. Were you able to follow the skid marks?
Yes, I did.
I guess we kind of had a better, like a broader picture.
Right, right.
Where were you able to follow the skid marks? Where did they end up?
Well, right there, my apartment is not exactly in front of there, but it's right to the side. We got an apartment next to mine, and then another apartment, it's my cousin. They put it on the side of the building where all the, what, breaking boxes is on this found.
Okay, well, they approach you.
Yes.
So. Here. So just, I'm kind of interested where, like, where the car was towed from and then where you found the broken glass in relation to the building. So maybe you can kind of, like, if you start out, just, let's say the car, this was the spot it was parked in. Like, what direction were the skid marks, and then draw the building, and then where you saw the broken glass?
Skid marks, as you can see, it's, and the building over here.
Right.
This is my apartment, and I got another apartment, and then I got another apartment here.
Right.
I found the glass on the side of the building,
Okay.
window glass.
Right, safety glass, little pieces. So it looks like they pulled it out. They pulled it out and then went, I guess, like this way, kind of. Let's see. We do it like that, I guess. If this is the parking spot here, then it went this way to the side of the building. How far would you say that is, that distance? Okay, you are 30 feet then? You may know this or not, it looked like they were kind of, well, let me ask you this. From where you found the glass, the building was blocking the view from this way, right? What's this way? What is this way?
Some more apartments.
Okay. What's this way?
Gate and the street,
So the street's over here?
yes,
Okay. So I guess it would have been visible from the street.
yes.
What they're doing. All right.
Well, they have some bushes right there on the side of the gate.
Okay. Maybe we can, I don't know if we can see that in there. Yeah, kind of.
Well, no, that's the front of the apartments.
Oh,
That's the office. That's the only, I think the only camera they have. It's right in front of the office.
so that's not related to anything here than that. Fine. But so there's some bushes here.
On that gate, yes.
All right. Enough to obstruct somebody's view from the street?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did it look like they were busting that window out in a spot where they would be concealed?
Exactly.
Okay. Would they have had to bust the column on the vehicle to get it out of park and get the front wheels to disengage? Or how could you get the front wheels to disengage without the key?
So I didn't understand that, it's four-wheel drive. I didn't know you could do that.
Other than busting the column, would there be any way to get the front wheels to disengage?
Oh, no.
Yeah, I don't either.
Yeah.
Okay. But it appears from looking at this picture that the front wheels were disengaged when they're towing it, right?
So,
Yeah. Well, it'd be kind of hard to pull it if they weren't, there'd be a lot more skid marks there. Yeah. Okay. I pass it.
Mr. Hilbert?
You testified earlier that there were periods of time where the vehicle sat in the parking lot for, extended periods, right? Um, and you said that you had multiple, do you have multiple vehicles?
yes,
And a couple of those vehicles are pictured in, State's Exhibits 13, 14. Okay. Were those, did you use those other vehicles, instead of the 1987 vehicles that you were at the time?
I know I had a Sierra truck that I use most of the time.
And returning to the 1987 vehicles, you put a lot of work into that car.
Yes, sir. By part
Um, multiple hundreds.
thousands.
No further questions.
Okay,
Good for you.
okay, may this witness be excused?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Carter, you're excused?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Mr. Hilby. Call your next witness.
This is one.
Okay. Ms. Simmons is going to get the next witness. That's right. Okay.
State six witness is Detective Roland Drow.
Your Honor, the witness is coming into the building right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Detective, you can come forward. Detective, would you please raise your right hand? Do you swear affirm and tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you make it, take a seat on the witness stand. Mr. Hill, witness is yours.
Good afternoon, Detective Pedro. Can you introduce yourself to the jury and tell them how you were currently employed?
Yes, sir. My name is Earl Boudreaux. I'm a detective with the Port Arthur Police Department. I've been there about 33 years now.
So, can you tell them what your educational background is?
I have some college, graduated high school, went to the police academy, and I've been a detective for 28 years.
So it's safe to say you're a certified peace officer.
Yes.
And what are your current job duties?
I investigate auto thefts and auto burglaries.
And same duties as the ones you had on November 2021?
Yes,
And you recall being asked to investigate a reported stolen vehicle saber in November of 2021?
yes, sir.
Was the complainant from that case named Keith Carter?
Yes,
And do you recall when and where the vehicle was stolen from?
the Port Arthur Town Homes apartment complex.
And that's in Port Arthur, Texas,
Yes,
and and that's in Jefferson County.
correct.
And this vehicle was reported stolen on November 22nd, 2021.
Yes, sir.
During the course of your investigation, did you find out how the vehicle was taken away from the property?
I did.
And how was that?
Jackson calls for narrative response.
Objection overruled.
I learned that the vehicle was towed away from the apartment complex.
And did you manage to find the individual or individuals who towed the vehicle
I did.
away? And can you name those individuals?
Kevin and Nelson were their first names. Enamorando was their last name. If I'm saying that right, that's probably not saying it right, but something like that.
Now, did you speak with the Morales?
I did.
Did you ask them to come to the station for an interview?
I did.
And did they agree?
They did.
And they showed up?
Yes, sir.
And did you receive information from them about, where the vehicle was taken?
Yes, sir, I did.
Did you investigate, based on, what you were told?
I did.
Did you find out what ultimately became of the vehicle?
The vehicle was crushed at Scrap Works Metal Recyclers.
Following that first interview, were the brothers called back to the station? For a
Yes,
subsequent interview?
yes, they were.
And where, in that subsequent interview, were they shown a photo lineup?
They were.
So in regards to the photo lineup, does the Port Orford Police Department have a policy on how one is supposed to conduct those photos for lineups?
Yes, we do.
Can you explain what that policy is?
Sure. So if at all possible, we're supposed to have someone show the photos to the witness or victim that doesn't have anything, any knowledge of the case and doesn't know who the possible suspect is.
And was that policy followed in this case?
Yes,
So, given the fact that you had knowledge of the case, you were not the one that, were you the one that administered the,
I was not the one that administered the lineup. Detective Jack was.
now, were you familiar or ever shown the photos of the lineup?
Yes, I requested the lineup to be made through DPS. It was from a DL or an ID photo.
So, did Detective Jacques, show Kevin Nelson and Rado the group of photos?
Yes.
And when was, where was that done?
That was
To the extent that whether he has personal knowledge, or have speculation, unless he has personal knowledge, he can later prove that he has personal knowledge.
Okay, objection sustained.
Were you aware of the fact that Detective Jacques was going to show, Kevin and Nelson and Orado the, photo lineup?
Yes, I was.
And you were aware of the time and place that she was going to do so?
That I wasn't sure.
So can you tell me where that occurred?
That occurred at the Port Arthur Police Station in our interview room.
And the, Kevin and Nelson were administered the photo lineup at different times?
Yeah, they were shown separately to each Kevin and Nelson.
And may I approach you?
Yes, you may.
I'm showing you what's marked as states 5 through 7, 9 through 10, and what's been marked and admitted as states 8. Do you recognize these photos?
That appears to be the lineup that was made for me by DPS.
So these would have been the photos that were shown to the Enamorados by Detective Jacques.
Yes.
And there are no alterations to them. They're fair and accurate copies of the photos that were shown to them that day.
Yes.
At this time, I will move to for inspection of states 5 through 7 and states 9 through 10.
Ask a brief question,
Yes, you may take the witness off order.
you don't know what photographs were shown to you because you weren't there, you don't have any personal knowledge,
I was outside the room.
You weren't in the
I wasn't
room,
no.
so you don't know what photographs were shown.
Well, I gave her the photos to show.
You weren't in the room when the
No.
photographs were shown,
No.
right? So you don't know what photographs were shown.
I saw the video after the photos were shown.
Was there a video inside of what happened inside the room?
Yeah, there's a video camera in our interview room.
Okay, so there's a video of the identification process.
Yes,
And you reviewed that video?
Yes.
And on the video, you can see these photos?
Yes.
You can make out the pictures on the video?
Yes.
Okay. No, good.
Okay, no objections? What are the numbers on your
That would be exhibits 5 through 7 and 9 through 10.
5 through 7? And what else?
9 through 10, 9 and 10, Your Honor.
9,
9 and 10.
9 and 10, okay. Okay, they are admitted.
Um, this this photo lineup was conducted by Detective Jacques.
Correct.
Um, But you were later informed of the results, correct?
Correct.
And you additionally reviewed the video
I did.
that was taken from the interview room of the lineup.
Yes.
So, are you personally aware of if Kevin and Nelson both selected the same picture?
Yes.
Okay. And they both recognize that person that they selected as the individual who committed the offense?
Correct.
And are you aware of the identity of the person who they selected?
Yes.
And who is that?
It's Miss McGuire right there.
Okay. You said right there. So can you identify her by an article of her clothing?
Yes, she's wearing a black blouse and glasses.
May the record reflect that the witness has identified the defendant Lanesh McGuire?
The record was so flat.
After the brothers identified Miss McGuire, did you ever speak to her?
I did.
And where did this take place?
I went to her apartment.
And was that apartment 1108
I believe it was, yes.
at the Port Arthur Townhomes?
Correct.
When speaking to Ms. McGuire, did she identify herself as Lanesh McGuire?
Yes.
And when you spoke to her, was she under arrest or in custody in any way?
She was not.
Did you ask her about the sale of the vehicle saver to the Inmorados?
I did.
And what did she have to say in response?
She said she didn't know what I was talking about, that she didn't sell any vehicles to anybody.
During your investigation, did you attempt to find out what the value of the complainant Ms. Keith Carter's car is?
Yes, I looked it up in the NADA used car guide
And why did you try to determine that value?
for the theft statute, you have to have a dollar amount for the object that was stolen to be able to file the correct classification.
Okay, so for your line of work, you're familiar with the Texas Penal Code?
Yes.
And you're familiar with the various classes of offense that in relation to that?
Yes.
And the dollar values that are required for each.
Correct.
So. May I approach?
Yes, you may.
I'm now showing you what's marked as State's Exhibit 16. Do you recognize it?
Yes, it's a printout of the NADA estimated value.
And this is the information that you saw in an attempt to find out what the value of the complaining witness's vehicle was.
Correct.
And this form indicates different retail prices for vehicles.
Yes, it gives a low.
Objection. It's not in evidence, Your Honor.
Yes, it does.
Objection sustained.
It's hearsay, again, hearsay.
Okay.
I didn't
Objection
have an
sustained.
offer yet, but I'm just letting that it's hearsay.
So is this a fair and accurate copy of the information that you received in regards to the value of the vehicle?
Yes,
It's not been altered in any way.
no.
At this point, I would post the defense for inspection.
Again, they asked you a question on what I am.
Yes, you may.
This came off of a website or out of a book. States
Website,
Exhibit 16, what was this shown to you?
a website.
Hearsay. And then,
Okay.
I mean, there is an exception. I mean, I'm not gonna get into the exception. There's,
Objection sustained.
Now, is this an ADA guideline that you looked up? One of the typical ways in which you determine value in regards to stolen vehicles?
Yeah,
And are there any other ways?
I know that Kelly Blue Book is also used.
And are these ways reliable typically?
Yes,
And what is the, do you recall the price range? Or rather the value range that, that would make, the stealing a certain object a class A misdemeanor?
Class A is 750 to 2,500, I believe.
So through your research, were you able to determine that the value of the stolen vehicle saver, was within the parameters of the class A misdemeanor?
yeah, I'm gonna object his reliance on hearsay. His answer will be predicated on hearsay. He doesn't have, the owner would have personal knowledge of the value of the vehicle. He doesn't have personal knowledge. His testimony is predicated on what he's looked at in a website or not personal knowledge. That's hearsay. His testimony is predicated on hearsay, and therefore it's hearsay.
Mr. Hill, what's your response?
I'll withdraw the question, Your Honor.
Okay.
State has no further questions at this point.
You generate that procedure.
Yes, you may proceed,
If
Mr.
you generate a report in this case,
Yes, sir.
have you reviewed that report in preparation for your testimony?
Yes.
Have you reviewed anything else in preparation for your testimony?
I looked at the videos.
Are those available? Do you have them, or who has those?
The state should have those.
But you did review those, is that right?
Yeah.
Right,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
approach?
Yes, Your Honor.
This is the one you reviewed, is that right?
Yes.
The physical document that you reviewed?
Yes.
How long have you been, I think you're part of the auto theft task force, is that right?
Yes, sir.
What is the auto theft task force?
It's a multi-agency, task force that we investigate auto thefts, auto burglaries, title fraud, anything to do with vehicles.
What agencies are involved in the task force?
Port Arthur,
Port Arthur
Beaumont,
PD,
Port Arthur PD, Beaumont PD, Jefferson County SO. That's it for right now.
Department of Public Safety.
No, they're not part of the task force.
So it's within Jefferson County.
Yes,
And how long have you been part of the, you personally been part of the auto theft task force?
since 1997.
27 years,
They're about, yeah, they're about.
investigating auto thefts, vehicle thefts, boat thefts, I suppose.
Yes.
Four-wheelers,
Yes, sir.
all motor vehicles, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And in that regard, I suppose even though the DPS isn't part of the task force, you liaison closely with the Department of Public Safety.
Yes, sir.
What's the reason for that?
To be able to get information from them, from their analysts.
Well, what about title information, that type of thing,
That's the motor vehicle, the MVD, motor vehicle division.
of Department of Public Safety, or is it separate?
I think they're separate now. They're Department of Transportation, they're separated from the Department of Public Safety.
Are you familiar with, motor vehicle code regulations, requirements, licensing requirements, that type of thing relating to vehicles?
Some,
To your knowledge, have you investigated thefts that have involved what are commonly called chop shops?
yes,
What are chop shops?
chop shops are illegal businesses where they take stolen vehicles and they take them apart and then sell the parts.
Why would it make sense to sell the parts from a vehicle, from a stolen vehicle, as opposed to the stolen vehicle as a whole, as a complete?
Well, if you have, the parts are harder to identify than the whole vehicle itself. So the parts are just as or more valuable separated out from the whole vehicle.
Some parts actually have a vehicle identification number on, is that correct?
Some do, yes.
Which parts have a vehicle identification number?
Typically the major component parts, engines, transmissions, doors,
We say engine, you mean the engine block,
yeah, the engine block.
not the separate manifolds, that type
Right,
of thing.
just the main block.
And a vehicle identification number is commonly referred to as what?
Serial number,
VIN?
well, yeah, vehicle identification number is a VIN,
VIN.
for sure, yeah.
Do you have any sort of specialized training or expertise in investigating vehicular thefts, and especially as it may involve chop shops or things of that nature? Have you attended these seminars or specialized training in your 27 years in the
Yes.
task force?
Uh,
What have you learned about this?
the try to change the numbers sometimes, they try to obliterate the numbers to hide the true identity of the part or the vehicle that it goes to.
Now, as far as salvage yards, do those fall within the parameters of the motor vehicle code or anything relating to motor vehicles?
Yeah, to some degree, the metal recyclers take in all kinds of metal. So, you know,
Well, let's start with-
they're typically made of metal, so.
Let's start with someone that operates a towing service and has an impound yard. How are they regulated?
They're Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation,
And what, are they required to maintain a license to
Yes.
tow vehicles and impound them?
yes.
What type of license?
It's through TDLR. I'm not sure what the exact requirements are, but that's who their oversight agency is.
And they're required to maintain a license, is that right? Have you ever had an occasion to inspect a license from a tow truck company that has an impound yard?
Have I know personally?
What about, metal recyclers? Do you know if they have to have any sort of licensure from the state?
To my understanding of that law is that they're through the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation as well. That's who their oversight is, and they have to have a license.
To operate a metal recycling?
Yes.
Are there any type of reporting requirements or anything of that nature?
I'm sure there are, but I don't know.
As it relates to your line of work as a police officer that's entailed with investigating auto thefts, have you had interactions with metal recyclers?
Some,
In what capacity?
we'll go out to the metal recyclers and look at some of the cars that they have and then ask for their paperwork that correlates to that car that's on their property.
And what type of paperwork would that be?
A title, some sort of affidavit, claiming ownership to the vehicle.
Are they required to keep such documentations as part of the regulations from the Texas Department of Licensing or Board of Licensing and Regulation?
I would say that they are, but I don't know exactly what the stipulations are to that.
But when you go out to a metal recycler, you expect them to have some sort of documentation of ownership of motor vehicles that are on their property, is that right?
Correct.
And they are able, in your experience, to produce that documentation, the times that you've asked for.
Yes.
Which metal recyclers have you had occasion to visit and investigate in this capacity?
I've been to quite a few. I mean, I can't.
Which ones did you recall?
I know we've been to Scrapworks before.
Where is Scrapworks located?
It's on West Highway 365, right before you leave the city limits.
Basically, right across Westport Arthur Road on 365,
Yeah, right before you get to
the J.
the road area. It's right past J, right before you get to the levee wall.
So between Jade Avenue and the levee, right?
Yes.
How many times have you been out there?
Maybe 2 or 3 times.
Were these just routine visits, or did you have a particular purpose in one of them?
Mostly it's a particular purpose.
And what would that purpose have been?
Looking for paperwork or information on a vehicle that possibly was there.
Stolen vehicle?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't be investigating something that wasn't stolen vehicle.
Right.
So why would a metal recycler have a motor vehicle?
They take the metal in and they're like a middleman. They take the metal, they buy it, and then they turn around and sell it.
So in order to buy a motor vehicle, right? What do you have to do?
To buy a motor vehicle,
Yeah, to buy one, to transfer title.
you have to have the title or a bill of sale and a title application form.
And then you go down to either the Department of Public Safety or I guess the tax office here
The DMV, yeah.
and facilitate a transfer, and then it's your vehicle, right?
Well, that's the start of it, yeah.
But once the title's in your name, then it's your vehicle, right?
Theoretically, yeah.
What about a salvage title? What is that?
A salvage title, like if a vehicle's wrecked or damaged by water or fire or something, and it's not necessarily a total loss, it can be rebuilt and put back on the road as rebuilt salvage.
What about to obtain ownership of a motor vehicle for the purposes of crushing it and recycling the metal? Is a salvage title required?
That's my knowledge, no.
Is ownership required?
I think if you, it depends on the age of the vehicle. I think if it's.
Do you have to own a vehicle that you crush and sell?
No,
You can crush and resell somebody else's vehicle?
yeah, if you bring it up there and sign the paperwork saying that you have the right to have possession of it,
But
they'll
whose
they'll
vehicle,
accept it.
whose vehicle would it be once it's crushed? I mean, once it's obtained for the purpose of crushing it, who would own the vehicle? The person crushing it, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Correct.
So how do they document ownership? How do they obtain ownership of the vehicle that's being brought in to be crushed?
They either submit the title or they sign some kind of affidavit for the current metal recycler saying that they have the right to have possession of it and to sell
Who signs that?
it, whoever brings it in.
So the person bringing the vehicle in to the metal recycler signs some sort of documentation asserting ownership of the vehicle and asserting that they're transferring ownership to the metal recycler.
That's my understanding of how that's supposed to work, yes.
That's how you enforce the law.
That's my understanding of how that works.
I'm asking, is that how you enforce the law?
Yes,
Based upon that understanding?
that's how we
No, you, not we, you.
Yes.
That's how you enforce the law, right?
Yeah.
Is auto theft a problem?
Sure,
Problem in this county, right?
yes,
To the extent we have a task force devoted to auto theft, right?
correct.
What happens to the vehicle once it's crushed?
Uh,
The EIN number is supposed to be removed from it before it's crushed?
not to my knowledge.
So when you went out to scrap works, I suppose in this case, right?
Mhm.
Yes, yes,
I think I called and talked to the owner. I don't know that I went out there.
you
I
went
can't
back,
remember.
you don't remember, is it in your report?
I don't, look again.
I want to take a look,
Yeah,
see if you went out there.
I know I've talked to him, but I don't remember going out.
What?
Yeah, I went out there and they printed out the ticket for me.
See your report? You have the ticket they printed out?
I would imagine the state does.
You don't have it?
I don't have it with me, no.
What does it look like?
Some sort of receipt showing the date and time and maybe a driver's license or an ID number and a signature of the person selling it and how much they got for it. Sometimes they put a photograph of the vehicle going across the scale.
Was there a photograph or a photocopy of the person's ID you brought in the vehicle?
I don't remember.
Was there a name?
I'm pretty sure there was a name
What was the
or
name?
an ID number.
What was the name?
It was Kevin, maybe?
What was the ID or the ID number? And on here it says, Kevin. So there was just a first name on the receipt?
I'll have to look at the receipt.
Well, wouldn't you put the last name in here before?
Would I?
Yeah, wouldn't that make sense to put that in
Yeah,
there?
I mean. Yeah,
So you didn't see the vehicle, right? And the vehicle, I mean, the 97 that say we're talking about here,
no, I did not see it.
wasn't around,
It wasn't, yeah, it wasn't around,
already gone.
I guess.
When did you go out to scrap?
Can I look at my report? December 9th,
December 9th,
yeah, 21.
what was the date of this auto alleged out there?
I think it was November the 22nd.
30 days in November, 9 days into December, about 2.5 weeks after the car was reported stolen.
Sounds about right.
Car was already gone, right?
Yes, yeah,
You didn't see it.
didn't see it.
What else, did you see anything out there other than just scrap metal? Crushed vehicles? What else?
I went to the office,
You look around,
not really.
see any car parts?
Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff right around the office. That's where the people drive in and out.
What kind of car parts did you see out there?
Rims, a lot of rims.
A lot of rims, what else?
all I remember.
Did the engine blow?
I remember.
Interior seats, glass, windshields,
Not that I remember.
manifolds, water pumps, brake, or
Not that I remember.
alternators, starters.
Not that I remember.
You don't remember, or they weren't out there?
I remember seeing some rims stacked up near the office.
So there may have been some of these other parts you just don't remember.
I don't know, I don't remember.
So it looked like they were taking rims off of cars before they were crushing them?
That or people were bringing in just the aluminum rims and selling just the aluminum.
Do you see where there may be a problem if people could just bring in vehicles to metal recyclers, get paid for them and have them crushed without any kind of proof of ownership? Doesn't that seem like that could be a problem?
Yeah.
What kind of problem?
People can bring stolen vehicles in there.
That's right. And they don't have to have a title. Like parts off of the car, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So you've never gone out and investigated that type of activity at scrap works or another metal recycling?
Yeah, we have. I mean, I've been on there 26, 27 years. I'm sure we have, but
Well, have you?
yes, I've been involved in inspections at metal recyclers, salvage yards, used cars.
And when you do those inspections, what do you do?
We go pick out a car and ask them to show us the paperwork that corresponds with that car.
Before it's been crushed?
Yeah.
Okay, well, what, if they're already crushed and gone,
Well, even if they're crushed, you can't necessarily tell what the VIN number is because everything's been crushed. If you can't get to it, you can't identify it.
so you
So
ran
we pick out cars that haven't been crushed and ask for the paperwork,
what kind of paperwork?
whatever they can show proof of where they got it from.
What about just going out there and running the vans and see if any of them come back?
We do that as well. Yeah.
So this car was crushed on November 22nd at 2:40 p.m., right?
That sounds about right.
And if the officer that took the report on the stolen vehicle testified that he put it into the system as stolen, I think at 10 p.m. on November 21st. But it looks like, I guess according to, I remember Officer Seltzer's testimony, he would have put it in as stolen at 10 p.m. on November 22nd, and it was crushed at 2:40 p.m. on November 22nd. So it was crushed actually before it was put into the system as stolen.
It sounds like that's what you're saying, yeah.
So that's what it looks like. So there's no requirement that, these vehicles be held for a particular amount of time before they're crushed?
Not my knowledge.
So other than this receipt that Scrapworks, I guess Sam, the owner, you don't have a last name for him either, that Sam gave you, printed out to Kevin, showing that Kevin received $308.90. They didn't provide you with any other documentation on that sale? No proof of how Kevin showed he owned the vehicle, demonstrated ownership?
Not that I can remember.
Well, if it occurred, it would be in your report, right?
Right.
So do you think it's fair to say that Scrapworks took a vehicle in without proof that the person who was selling it to them owned it?
I don't know if he made them, if they signed that affidavit saying that they have right to have possession of it or whatever, if they don't have a title.
We don't know. But we got
It
it,
wasn't given to me, they had it.
if they had it, they didn't give it to you.
Correct.
Did you ask for it?
I asked for any paperwork they had.
And they didn't give
They gave me an invoice,
They didn't give, well, they gave you a receipt.
a receipt. Right.
Invoice is different than a receipt, right?
Receipt.
Receipt. They didn't give you any kind of affidavit of ownership, anything establishing that the person that sold them that vehicle owned the vehicle.
Not that I recall, if it's not in my report.
Is knowing possession of stolen property theft?
It's knowingly possessing stolen property theft.
Yeah.
Yes.
You don't have to be the one that steals
Right.
the property. You just have to be in possession of stolen property, knowing that
Knowing that
it's
it's stolen, correct.
offense, right? Somebody,
Offense, yeah,
sure. What's offense?
Offense is somebody that takes stolen property, knowing that it's stolen property, and then turns around and resells it.
Well, they give a discounted value to the
Yeah,
person.
they knock the value of it way down and then turn around and resell it and
Resell.
make a profit.
Right.
Exactly.
That's offense. So does it appear that scrap works could have been acting as a fence on a stolen vehicle? I mean, they weren't able to establish that they,
I'm going to object to the rest of the question as it pertains to this particular case, this particular theft.
let me rephrase it. Was scrap works in possession of stolen property? When they crushed that vehicle.
He
was it
crushed it
stolen?
before it was reported stolen.
That's not my question. Was scrap works in possession of stolen property when they crushed that vehicle?
It wasn't known.
I didn't ask you if it was known. I asked you if they
The
were.
way you're asking-
Let me ask my question. Were they in possession of stolen property when it was crushed, whether they knew or not?
Yeah.
Yes. Now, whether they knew or not is another question, right?
Right.
You have to know that it's stolen before you're guilty.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So they would say, well, I didn't know it was stolen. He couldn't produce proof of ownership or anything, and the window was busted out, but we didn't know it was stolen, right?
Right.
That's their defense.
Sure.
And if they were charged with that, it'd be up to the jury to decide behind a reason without whether they knew from the circumstances. You infer knowledge from the circumstances, right?
Yes.
You chose not to charge them with that, right?
Right.
Because you thought, what, that they didn't know it was stolen, right?
Under the circumstances, yeah.
Circumstances being that they couldn't provide you with proof that the person they bought it from owned the vehicle, right?
And at the time, it wasn't reported stolen. If I remember right,
So,
talking to Kevin and, Nelson, I guess that's their job, so to speak. That they buy and sell, I mean, they buy junk cars and scrap them.
or they steal cars and scrap them, right? At their car?
Yeah.
They could just as easily be stealing cars and scrapping them, right? Right?
They could, yeah.
Sure. So did you review the video from Scrapworks, or was there a video of Scrapworks? Crushing a car, receiving a car?
I don't think, I don't know how long the video lasted. They didn't give me any video.
You didn't review a
I
video?
didn't review it.
Easy answer. You didn't review it, right?
Right.
So they did just identify the person as Kevin. They didn't give you any other identifying information?
If I can see the receipt, I can tell you.
Where is it?
Does the state have it? I don't know.
Well, from your report, did you write down, did you report that there was any other identifying information from the receipt other than the amount, the date, and Kevin?
Not on my report.
Was that something you would have put in the report? And a receipt containing the
If I had a receipt,
license number?
I would just briefly mention it in my report, and then you can look at the receipt and get all the additional information.
I'm asking you what your pattern and practice is in writing a report. Would you routinely put down the other identifying information?
Not
from the receipt?
necessarily.
Let me finish my question. Would you routinely put down other information from the receipt, identifying information? Would you reference that in your report?
Not if I had the receipt. I would mention it in my report, and then I would look at the receipt to get all the pertinent information.
So we'd have to see the receipt to see what other identifying information.
Yes.
Before you talked to Scrapworks, had you already identified the two individuals that had towed the car?
Yes.
And did they tell you that they took it to scrap?
Yes,
So that's how you knew to go to scrap?
yes,
From them?
yes,
So you weren't reasoning backwards from scrap works who brought the vehicle, you were reasoning forward from what you were told by the people that towed the car, right?
yes, yes.
Let's back up a little. You got the report from the patrol officer, Seltzer, is that right?
Yeah,
Well, you're the detective, how does that work?
yeah, the patrol officers make the report, it goes through the system and gets assigned to the detective.
And in this case, since it's involving auto theft, it goes to you, right?
Pretty much guaranteed, yeah.
Well, who else investigates auto theft? Well,
If I'm not there, somebody else may have to, but typically I'm the only one.
typically, you're the one investigating.
Yes, sir.
So when did you get Officer Seltzer's report?
It would have been a couple of days after that.
Look at your report, not would have been, when did you get it?
We made the report on the 22nd. Dispatch told me the next day on the 23rd about the theft that happened out of the townhomes.
And what did you do after you were informed of the theft? Did you obtain Officer Seltzer's report, review photographs, review witness statements, and then pursue the investigation? What did you do?
Well, our paperwork system takes a couple days for the officer's report to get typed up and get to us. So I probably didn't look at the report on the 23rd,
When did you look at the report?
probably around the couple days after, so probably the 25th or so.
What did you do after you looked at the report?
Looks like I tried to call the apartment complex. I actually did finally speak to the manager.
What day was that?
I made those phone calls on the 23rd.
As a result, so you spoke to the apartment, did you correct?
Yes.
And as a result of that conversation, what actions did you take?
I asked her to check the cameras. She said she'd call me back after she did.
And then what occurred after she checked the cameras? Did she call you back?
It looks like on the 6th of December, she called me back.
And did she tell you there was video?
Yes,
And did you obtain the video?
I requested our ID, our CSI investigators to go get a copy of the video.
And it was a,
I think it was CSI Kirkland.
was CSI.
Crime scene
scene
investigator. Yeah,
So they went and got the video.
I believe so.
And I guess, did they bring it back to you?
They put it in a database with all of our videos for each individual case number.
And so did you obtain the video and review it?
I looked at it after she downloaded it, yeah.
When did you review the video?
It's like CSI Kirkland went on the 6th and got the video. On the 7th, I watched the video.
And that would be the video that's been identified as State's exhibit.
How about the video that's on?
State's exhibit 1. Right, that's the video you reviewed?
Yes, sir, that looks like the entrance to the apartment complex.
Why does that have BPD written on it?
Uh,
Report on BPD.
Yeah.
So why does the flash drive have BPD on it?
Can't answer that.
All right. So that's the video you reviewed?
Yes, sir, it looks like it.
Well, is it or not?
It looks like the video I read.
So the answer is yes. Okay. Not does it look like it, I didn't ask you to look like it, is that the one that you reviewed?
Yes.
Okay. What did you infer from watching that video as a trained detective?
Well, it looked like to me, because you can see on the window of the truck, that there looked like some writing.
Mhm.
And I know that there's a lot of people that go around town picking up cars, buying cars from people and scrapping them.
or stealing cars that you're having.
That happens too.
That happens?
It happens, yes.
So what did you do when you saw the writing on the window?
So I made a still photo from the video,
Mhm.
and I emailed it to all the PAPD officers and told them to be on the lookout for it. And I also emailed it to the surrounding agencies to be on the lookout for it.
What agencies?
Grove, Sport Natchez, Nederland.
SO, Lake DPD?
Yeah. I don't know if I did it on my PD or not, but I know I would have done it to the South County agency.
It's commonly called a BOLO, right? Be on the lookout?
Yeah,
Be on the lookout for this vehicle, right?
yep,
If you see it, let Detective Boudreaux at Port Arthur PD know about it. Is that right?
correct.
And did you get a hit back from that BOLO?
I did.
From who?
It was, Officer Buckholz with, Port Natchez PD.
Danny Buckholz?
Yes. Anyway.
And what did Officer Buckholz say? Do you remember without looking at your report? I mean, I'll let you look at the report, but do you remember before looking at it?
I want to say he just called me and said, hey, I found those guys. They live out off of Vitterbow Road out by the airport.
Okay. And based upon what Officer Buckholz told you, what action did you take?
I went to their house.
Where?
I think they lived on Celia, right off of Vitterbow,
And that's out by the,
out by the airport.
by the airport. So I think that's Nederland. Is it Port Arthur or South Dakota?
I don't know if it's Nederland or the county, I'm not sure.
It's not Port Natchez.
No.
So why would Danny Buckholz be outside of Port Natchez?
I don't know if he lives out there, I don't know.
He's not on the task force anymore than narcotics task force.
No, I don't think so. I think it's just Port Natchez PD.
So it wouldn't be in connection with any kind of narcotics investigation with what Mr. Buckholz.
Not that I'm aware of.
You don't know how he drove by and saw it or what capacity he was acting in when he,
I don't know.
if he's able to provide you with an address?
I believe so, yeah.
Based on what Officer Buckholz told you, did you go attempt to make contact with the people that are, or the vehicle?
Yes, I went to the address and knocked on the door. And I talked to a lady and a young boy.
In Spanish or English?
The boy spoke English,
How old was the boy?
10-ish, 8 to 10, something like that.
So was he translating for the older woman or were you asking him questions independently of her?
I was asking him questions and he knew the answer to some of them, and some of them he would have to talk to his mom in Spanish and relay that.
Did you observe the vehicle that we see in stage 1 behind you at the residence on Bitterbow?
I don't remember. I had to look at my report, but I don't remember if it was there or not.
Take a look at your report, see if you remember, if you observed the vehicle or appearing in stage 1 of the truck.
No, it wasn't there.
Were you able to obtain last names for the 2 individuals or the individuals, whatever individuals were operating the truck?
At that time, I don't know if he told me the last name or not. I know I left one of my cards and asked him to call me, because he was like in Dallas or something, and it was supposed to be back the next day.
So you asked the child to let them know to get in touch.
Right.
What else did you observe at the residence there on Vitterhill, just in plain sight or open view?
There were several vehicles there.
I mean,
Probably 6 or 8.
6 or 8 vehicles. Is that an unusual number of vehicles to be at the one residence, single family residence? No? Did you record any of this on your body cam?
No,
Why not?
I had my body camera with me.
Why not?
It's in my office.
Why don't you have it on you? That's the purpose of a body cam,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So why don't you have it on?
Because I didn't have it with me that day.
Why not? You forgot it, or it wasn't working, or you
Yeah,
just
just
didn't think it needed to be
I
played?
didn't, yeah, I didn't grab it.
She didn't think you needed to have it?
I didn't have it with me, no.
You had a pistol with you, right?
Oh, yeah.
Acting in capacity of the law enforcement, right?
Yeah.
Enforcing whatever laws that you enforce, right?
Yes.
You could have had an encounter with somebody when you had to shoot them, right?
Yeah.
But you wouldn't have your body cam.
Right.
What's the policy for not to wear a body cam?
Well, you're supposed to have it with you if you're out interviewing people.
But you didn't.
I didn't.
Did you run any of the pins on any of those
Yeah.
vehicles?
Yes, sir, I checked all the cars there.
Okay, good. What, none of them were stolen?
But I was for,
Did you see any car parts laying around?
I don't think so.
Don't remember?
I,
Have to answer.
I think it was just vehicles there.
So what happened next? What was the next event in the investigation?
After that, I left, and the next day, Kevin called me.
Kevin, you told you his name was Kevin? And that matched what was on the receipt?
Right.
Right, so you're on the trail, right?
Right.
What arrangements did you make with him?
I asked him to come down to the station.
In Spanish or English?
I asked him in English,
And he appeared to understand you?
if he would understand that much.
You don't speak Spanish, right?
Me?
You.
I do not.
So this communication would have had to have occurred in English, right?
Yes.
And did you explain to him why you wanted to talk to him?
No, I just asked him if he could come down to the station, and I'm assuming he knew that it was about the car.
Why would he know about that? Why would he know that? Or that that's why the police are wanting to talk?
Because he said something about the car, if I remember right.
What did he say?
Is this about the car?
What for? Did you tell him? The
I
Buick?
didn't. No, I wanted to wait to get him to the station to talk to him.
Yeah, I understand. You want to tip your hand. Yeah. But he appeared to think that it was something about the car.
Well, I'd asked the son about the car,
Mhm.
about the white car.
White. So he was tipped off that may have been, the police want to talk to me about it.
Right.
And there's no problem communicating.
Not asking him to come down to the station, no. If you're
You went like,
understand-
Corporal Moore, I need a translator or something? You
No.
asked you for a
Yeah,
translator?
because when I talked to him, he seemed to understand what I was saying.
Did you ask him did you ask him if there's anybody else involved, or did you know somebody else was involved, or at that point?
Yeah, I think you could see in the video that there appeared to be a passenger on the side of the truck, so I figured there were two people involved.
So did you ask him to bring whoever was the passenger down with him?
I don't remember,
Did you record the conversation?
between me and him?
Yeah.
No,
Why not?
but we have an interview room.
Well, but isn't it important what if he says something on the phone that can be used against him? Yeah, I'm sorry, I stole that car, and then you wouldn't have recorded it, right? Why wasn't it recorded? Why didn't you record it? Same reason you didn't wear your body cam? I mean, I'm not trying to be a smart,
Yeah, no.
but I mean, is it the reason?
Well, I don't typically talk very much to a potential suspect over the phone. I want him to come down to the station and talk to me so I can put him in the interview room and it's video,
So he was,
audio, video record
a potential suspect, right?
Right.
For what?
to take in the car.
For monolith, for stealing the car. right? So did both he and his, did accomplice or partner, co-worker come to the station?
Yeah, they came in the next day.
And you got that documented in your report? That they came in the next day?
Or he may have come in that day. No, he came in that same day.
Both of them?
Mr. Hip, Mr. Kimler, Mr. Hip,
Yes.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the jury, we're gonna take a break. Would you, please stand and exit the courtroom? Everyone, please stand. Court will be in recess. Everyone, please stand. Everyone may be seated. Jefferson County Court at law number 2 is back in session. The court is in session. Calls number M332118, case of style of the state of Texas versus the nation, Danae Matoir. Let the record reflect that Ms. Matoir is present in court. Is present in court with Attorney Wright Kimbler. State is present with Assistant District Attorneys, Attorney Andrew Hubel and Attorney Haley Simmons. Let the record also reflect that the jury is now seated and present in the courtroom. The witness is on the witness stand. Mr. Kimbler, you may proceed.
Tony spoke on the phone with the person that identified himself as Kevin. Did he provide you with the last name?
I don't remember.
Middle, just any name other than Kevin?
I don't remember.
Okay. What about, did he identify as passenger?
I don't think we talked about that, so he showed up to the station with him.
They showed up at the station, I guess you're talking down there on Lake Shore at the police department.
Yeah,
There's a lobby in there, right?
right.
And there's an officer behind the glass, right?
Sometimes.
Well, generally, I mean, I guess you could knock or hit the button and somebody will come to the glass.
Yeah, there's a phone.
Oh, right. So is that what happened? He showed up to the station, somebody buzzed you from the front, they're here to see you?
Right.
And then what did you do when that happened?
I went out and got him, and he had this other guy with him that he later said was Nelson, his brother. And I brought him into the interview room.
Both of them?
No, I think actually I talked to, Kevin.
So you left Nelson in the
I
lobby?
think I did, yeah.
Where did you take, the person identifying himself as Kevin?
Entire interview room.
How many do you have?
Just one.
Was it
Well,
other-
it's the interview room. It's got a camera in there.
Yeah. It records video and audio,
Yes,
so there's a video audio recording of the interview?
yes.
Who has that?
Same.
So everything you talked to Kevin about on that first interview is recorded, right?
Well, it's me, Detective Jack Evans, because she was translating to make sure that everything was understood.
So the interview was conducted in Spanish and then between
Back and
Jack
forth.
Hez and Kevin, and then Jack Hez will translate into English for you. And
Yeah.
was he Mirandized?
No.
And for the benefit of the jury, what does that mean to be Mirandized?
Well, when you Mirandize someone, you're advising them of what case law calls the Miranda warning, and you're just letting them know that they don't have to talk to you. That they can ask for an attorney. They can get up and leave anytime they want. I mean, that's,
Those warnings are codified in section 38.22 of the Code of Criminal Procedure, correct?
I think so, yes.
And it regards so-called confession statute, is that right?
Right,
And it requires certain warnings to be given to a person who is in custody and who's being interrogated, right? Not necessarily arrested, but in police custody,
in custody,
before their statements can be used against them in court.
right,
So Miranda and 3822 only apply to what's called custodial interrogations, right?
right,
So there's nothing unusual or untoward with you not Mirandizing Kevin, even though he was a suspect, right?
right, because I was not gonna arrest him.
So somebody can be a suspect and be questioned, but not be in custody, and then you don't have to give them the Miranda warnings or the 3822.
Correct.
And if Kevin had said, "Hey, I'm tired of talking to you, I'm walking out of here," you wouldn't.
I was showing him how to get out.
Right. So did you take notes during the interview?
I think I might have wrote down a few names or locations or something. I know I showed him a map. And he showed me where scrap, where he was talking. He didn't know the name of scrap works, but he described where it was. I showed him a map.
What did he tell you? How did the interview? Just kind of run through it.
I asked him, tell me what the deal is with the car. that he scrapped it.
Did you identify the car and describe it to him so he knew which car it
I,
was?
I probably told him, a white Buick.
And was he able to identify, yes, that's the car that went to?
I told him on the day, and then he said that, I think I told him too, that it came from the townhome. And he said, yeah, that he had bought it from a lady out there.
And did he have any documentation or did he bring any documents with him to the interview?
No. I think he had some text messages or something on
Okay.
his phone, and I think we photographed those.
Let me show you what's been marked as states 2 and 3. That appear to be what you're referencing.
Yes.
And those are the only 2
That's,
photos that were
that's,
taken.
that's the only 2 that he showed me yesterday.
What did he tell you happened? Just run through it. I'll give you the floor here. Just tell me what he said.
He said that he went out there, he had bought a car. He was called to come buy this car from the same person he bought, like an SUV from previously. So he goes out there, he shows up, he talks to, I think he said her name, she told him her name was Genesis, was the name that the person gave him, and she showed him the car, and he said he thinks he gave her like $200 for it. And then he loaded up the car. He had to break the window to get in because she didn't have the key. And so he broke the window to get in to, I guess, put it in neutral or tie off the steering wheel or whatever. And then he hooked up to it and drove off with it.
So did he state that he had previously bought another vehicle from the same person that he bought the LeSabre from?
Yes.
And did he identify the vehicle?
He said it was some kind of SUV. That's all he could remember.
And did he say when that he had purchased this other vehicle?
I want to say like a week before, maybe something like that. A few days to a week before.
Within a short period.
Recently, yeah.
And he said it was the same person that he purchased the SUV from that sold him the LeSabre.
Yes,
You specifically remember that?
Yeah.
And that should be on the video.
should be.
Right. Anything else relevant other than he took it to scrap works?
No, he told me that he knows what apartment that he saw her go in.
Which time?
I think the second time.
You don't know?
I'm not sure.
Could have been the first time.
Maybe.
Now, as a police officer, you have access to all types of investigatory resources that the public doesn't, right?
Yes.
What are some of those?
Like insurance stuff, insurance databases, like, there's one called, TLO that's like credit stuff.
Well, just more basic than that. You can run complete criminal history, CCAs
Oh, yeah.
on people,
Yeah.
and TCIs, or
Yeah.
TCIC and NCIC
Right.
databases. You can run DNA searches through CODIS, the DNA criminal database, right?
No, we don't have access to code.
Okay, maybe that may be some more specialized.
Yeah.
ones. APHIS, the automated fingerprint system, you have
Yeah,
access.
we don't have access to that.
I mean, you could if you needed it, I guess.
I could probably put in a request to
Okay.
DPS to have them run something or request something.
What about as it relates to phone numbers? What databases or how can you search a phone number?
The cell phone, we have some people that are trained, the department that are trained in cell phone.
On these states exhibits 2 and 3, there's a number up here at the top, right? Is that right?
Yes,
Does that appear to be the number from which those text messages were sent from?
I think so, yes.
And I think the person whose cell phone the messages are sent to put an identifier on there in Spanish or something to identify the number.
Right.
What's the number?
409-54-88-82-83.
8. Must be.
85. I can't talk to you. It's too dark.
I got you. I'll represent to you that it's 409-548-828. That's an accurate.
Yeah.
So how could you attempt to associate an account with that phone number?
One of the people that has been to the cell phone stuff can run it. and tell you if it's attached to anybody or
attached to the name,
not. A name or just like a prepaid,
right?
that they tell you one or the other.
Did Kevin represent to you that the person who bought who sold the Buick was the same person who was sending these text messages?
I believe so.
So he represented to you that the person who was sending a message from 409-548-8285 was the person who sold him the Buick? Would that be accurate?
I think so.
And that would be your understanding, right, since we got these messages? So whose number is 548-8285?
So
Why not?
I think I ran it through one of the cell phone guys, and it was a prepaid phone. It wasn't attached to any name.
Is that your report?
No.
You wanna look first?
I think that's what happened, but I don't know that I put it in my report.
Well, what would you put in your report? I mean, it's pretty significant, right? Maybe not, I mean, I'm not a police officer, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I forgot. I don't know.
Well, are you saying for sure you ran it, or just?
I'm pretty sure I ran it. But I guess I forgot to put it in my report.
Well, I mean, if you ran it as a prepaid number, we wouldn't know who it was, who prepaid for it.
You know, there's,
But if you ran it and you got a name, then that'd be helpful, right? But we don't know that one way or the other, right? Right?
not for sure, no.
Okay. Have you, I mean, you looked at the messages, right? I mean, you looked at them? We were looking at them.
Yeah, no, no.
I mean, there's no identifying information in the messages. Hey, this is John Smith. And this is my apartment number or anything like that.
Yeah, there's nothing to reveal any identities or locations other than the complex.
Okay, and so then is that about all the useful information you got out of Kevin?
Yeah, that he told me who he bought it from and told me that he bought another vehicle from the same person.
And did he identify the person by name? Other than
Yeah, I
Genesis?
think yeah, I think that's what he said. That
Genesis.
She told him that her name was Genesis.
Genesis.
Yeah.
And then you interviewed Nelson, individual named Nelson, right?
Right.
And I guess neither one of them had warrants, you were arrested.
Check for one.
You didn't check them for warrants?
I don't check people for warrants.
Well, you're a police officer, don't you check people for warrants? They do that all.
Usually not.
What are you doing? Police officers don't check people for warrants?
I don't.
All right. They could have had a warrant for murder, you wouldn't have been on there.
Good.
All right. So you didn't check either one of them?
No,
What did Nelson tell you?
basically the same thing.
And no documentation, right? They told you about breaking the window down?
Yeah.
Told you about the person not having a key?
Right.
Told you that the person didn't have any kind of documentation showing it was their car?
Yeah, she didn't have, the seller didn't have any paperwork.
To show it was their
Right,
car?
no key, no paperwork.
Look, correct me if I'm wrong here. You got two guys and you've identified them on video with the truck. They're admitting they're the ones in the truck. They're admitting they took the car. They're admitting that supposedly the person that sold them the car didn't have any proof that it was their car. They don't have a bill of sale for this, much less a title. They don't even have a receipt for the money that they supposedly paid for the car. You know from Officer Seltzer's report that the car was drug out, the window was broken out on the side of the building. I mean, doesn't it seem like those two guys stole the car?
Not necessarily.
No. Why not?
Well, because based on my experience in the job that I do, people buy scrap cars, junk cars all the time without titles. People buy and sell cars in Port Arthur without titles, without transferring titles. That's very common in Port Arthur.
But other than them telling you without any type of substantiation or corroboration that they bought this car from somebody named Genesis that couldn't prove they had a car or owned the car or legally possessed the car, and that they had to bust the window out of the car to tow it. I mean, you didn't think that that indicated that maybe they had stolen the car?
I mean, yeah, it's a possibility, so I'll verify what they're telling me, or check into what they're telling me.
Okay. So were they still suspects when they left? Or had they cleared everything?
No, they were still suspects.
Still suspects. So you hadn't made the decision on whether or not to arrest them yet, or to charge them, right? So now you know you're looking for somebody that's representing themselves to be Genesis, whether they exist or not, out at this apartment complex, correct?
Right.
So did you attempt to go back to Scrap Works, investigate the other, is that when you went out to Scrap Works? After that?
No, I had already been to Scrap Works before that.
Well, I thought you said that you went to Scrap Works after you, and I'm not trying to get, I'm promise I'm not trying to confuse you. But didn't you say you went to Scrap Works after you had the interview? That's how you identified Scrap
I
Works?
think after I talked to him on the phone, maybe,
Okay,
I went to Scrap Works.
so you went to Scrap Works before you conducted the interview.
Things so.
So at the end of these interviews, all you knew was there's a black female out at this apartment complex representing herself to be Genesis that allegedly sold a stolen vehicle or a vehicle that wasn't hers to these two guys, right?
Right.
So what did you do next?
So I went to the apartments. They showed me, they pointed out the apartment to me that they saw her go into.
They went out to the apartment complex with you?
They drove their car, passed by, pointed at it, and then left.
Well, you were following them or what?
Yeah, I was following.
They just, what, pointed out the window or what?
Yeah, they pointed at the corner apartment, I think it was. So I got the number and I went to the office,
Okay.
or I called the manager, I can't remember which. But
Who's in apartment that
Yeah.
these guys pointed to?
Right.
And what did you talk to the manager?
Yeah, let's see. The manager wasn't there, somebody was just filling in.
Yeah.
And I asked her about who was in that apartment 1108, and she looked it up and she said somebody with the last name Fisher, but she didn't have, nobody named Genesis was at that apartment. I was like,
So what'd you do next?
I said, okay, and, so,
Did you have the tape at this? Oh, yeah, you already had the tape.
right. So I called and talked to the guy that runs, or that owns the scrap works, and I told him I needed to pull all the paperwork and any records that he had of that transaction,
Which transaction?
the Buick.
The deal, okay.
And then I also told him to check, I guess, Kevin's name to see if he had sold the SUV a few days or a week before that.
Okay. What happened after that?
Then I talked to the manager.
Of the apartments?
Right. And she told me that Lanisha Latoir lived in 1108.
Not somebody named Fisher?
No,
That was misinformation?
apparently.
Okay.
And then she said that she used to have a maroon SUV. And it was,
Not that this is the apartment manager telling us? Okay.
yes. And it was possibly a Yukon. She wasn't sure, but it's like a maroon colored SUV.
Then what did you do?
Page,
Oh, well. Maybe it was your, you know, could help you with that.
page 4 was missing. No,
Promise you I didn't take it out.
all right, never mind.
You got it?
No, that's there. That's what I requested the lineup from DPS.
So you identified, that's the first time this report, you're able to identify this report, all right?
Yes,
apartment manager, so Kevin points at the apartment,
Yes,
and the apartment manager tells you Lanisha
that's why.
Matuar lives there. Okay. So now, this whole lineup thing, if you can tell, how does that work? Let the jury,
So,
educate the jury.
so- so a photo lineup, you probably seen on TV, they used to do them like in 6 packs. So you'd have 6 pictures all on one page.
Let me, I apologize, I interrupted, so I know what you're talking about. You're talking about the procedure where you have a manila envelope generally, right?
Basically, yeah,
And you cut out 6 square
that's,
from one, and then you attach the photographs,
Correct.
right? 6,
Yeah.
create,
yeah,
close it,
yeah.
and then you put it in front of somebody,
Okay.
open it up and say,
Do you recognize it?
Right.
That's how they used to do it. So they've changed that process.
who changed it?
I guess the
The
court,
video and photo identification lineups?
yeah, I guess there were some problems, obviously, with how that was done, so they changed the process, so.
At the APD or just
No,
everywhere?
everywhere, all law enforcement, to my knowledge, all law
Okay.
enforcement.
All right.
Their process.
Okay.
So now, you get a picture, you have 6 pictures, and they're all separate, and when you show the lineup to your witness or victim, you show them one photo at a time, and let them look at it, and then show them the next photo, show them the next photo, then you go through all 6 pictures. You don't show them all 6 pictures at one time, they get a chance to look at each picture individually.
And so how do you generate the photographs for the lineup?
Either, in this particular case, because I got the DPS, it was either her DL or her ID,
Her being in,
Miss Matois.
okay. So her driver's
Or a
license,
mugshot,
well,
if somebody's been handled
there's
before.
no, a representative, not a motion.
No.
So in a DL or identification.
Correct.
On your driver's license or nothing. right?
Correct.
So how are the other photographs, the other people's, if you're in the lineup, how are their photographs generally obtained?
They were all, because it came from DPS, they were all either photo IDs or photo DNs. DPS made the lineup.
So
I
what,
don't know.
okay, what do you say to DPS when you're requesting a lineup?
You give them the person's name that you want the lineup made with.
Mr. Kimball, you need to stand by the podium.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so you tell them this is the person that I'm looking for. I need the lineup made with this person.
With this person's what?
This person is my suspect.
Right, so what do you say? I need
You give them-
I need
you give
5 other people who look like this?
Yeah, they do that. They find 5 other people that look similar.
So you're saying, this is the one I'm interested in, I need 5 other people who resemble this.
I need a lineup, and they find 5 other people, and then they put them together, and then.
How do they do
I
that?
don't know. I guess they have access to all the DL and ID photos, and they look through them.
Well, there may be a computer or something,
I-
AI, something. So what database is DPS going through?
Probably their driver's license database and their ID database.
So you're telling me that anybody who has a driver's license or an ID card can have their photograph put into a photo lineup, photo identification spread of a criminal offense?
Apparently,
I guess their name too.
no, there's no names. I don't know who the other people are. I have no idea who they are.
Well, what if somebody is identified, it's not the person you suspect, one of the ones that the DPS just sent you at random, and the person's like, that's the guy that did it, I'm sure. What do you do
I'm
then?
sure they have a record. They made the lineup, and they could go back and figure out who it was.
And so a person who has a driver's license or an ID is in danger of being misidentified as a criminal suspect.
Possibly.
So you didn't administer the photo lineup spread, right?
I did not.
You stood outside,
I stood outside the room.
so why weren't you in, why didn't you just?
Because we're not, the person investigating the case is not supposed to be present when the lineup is shown.
So who administered it?
But Detective Jack is.
Jack Kids, the Spanish speaking officer that was interpreting?
Correct.
And that was videoed, right?
Yes,
The
that was-
process,
That was in the interview room, yes, sir.
But you looked at the photographs that DPS sent before the identification proceeding, right?
Yes,
And how many photos are there?
6,
6, not 5, right?
6. Counting the suspect, there's 6 photos.
Not Cinco, chefs, or thinking of Russian, Cinco.
I don't speak Russian either.
Well, I was thinking Russian, not Spanish. There was Trace Parker says seis. What's 6 in Spanish? Seis, whatever. Not Cinco, that's 5, right? So there's 6 photos that were administered, right?
Yes,
And to your knowledge, again, you weren't present, this was done one at a time, right?
yes.
And is the photo taken back after they look at it, or do they keep it? Like, so you, at the end of it, you have 6 photos in your hand, or not, you know?
I'm not sure how exactly she did. I think she showed them one at a time and then covered them up. Put the new picture on top of the one she just showed.
So she's not handing it to them. Well, again, you don't know because you weren't in there, but you've been trained in the procedure.
Yeah,
right?
that,
So
I can tell you the way I do it.
how you do it?
So that I hand them one picture and then I take it back. And then I hand them another picture and we'll take it back.
Okay.
Hand them another picture and take it back. That's how I do it.
Then they're like, well, let me see number 2 again.
Nope. I have to show them all. They don't get to see one again.
Okay,
If
then
they
what?
want to see another one, they get to see all of them.
Okay, I want to see 2. Well, here's 1, here's 2. Well, I don't want to see the rest of them. You know, you got to look at them anyway.
Okay, that's what I tell them, yeah.
So you don't know which one. And I'm sorry, Jaquez did this for both Kevin and Nelson, right?
Right.
And you don't know which picture she handed to either one of them first, right?
I think on the,
Well, I mean, you weren't in there.
no, I wasn't in there.
So you don't know, right?
I don't.
We'll have to ask Officer Jaquez about that. And you haven't reviewed the video from that identification procedure, have you?
I looked through it, yeah.
Oh, you haven't?
I looked at it, yeah.
Is that available? That was in preparation of testimony, right?
Yeah.
It's available. We'll get to that with Jaquez, I guess. And your understanding after the identification procedure was that Kevin and Nelson had identified which one? I'm sorry,
Number 4,
number 4, State's Exhibit 4. I'm sorry, State's Exhibit 8, number 4 on the sheet, right? State's Exhibit 8. Right.
yes.
It looks like, just for the record, all of these women appear to be smiling. They didn't look like bugshots, right? I mean, they all kind of seem to be
Yeah.
happy like they're
Yeah.
not in the jail. I don't know, maybe some people smile when they're getting looked into jail. And based upon that identification, what did you do next?
So she showed both of them. They both picked number 4. So that's when I checked to figure out a price, a retail price for the Buick. Talked to the complainant. Told him that
Mr. Carter?
Huh?
Mr. Carter?
Yes, talked to Mr. Carter. Told him that the person that had sold the car to the 2 guys had been identified.
Well, did you know that she actually sold the car to him? As a trained law enforcement officer, you knew that, just based on what Kevin and Nelson told you with no documentation and no video, you knew that?
And the fact that they picked out a lineup.
They sold her a car, she sold her a vehicle before to be good, right? Maybe they're lying about her selling the second one. I mean, you got 2 guys and.
I have to work with what I was given. They said it was her that sold her the white.
You have to work with the facts, right? The facts are you got 2 guys who you know took the vehicle
Right.
without any kind of proof that they purchased it. Who broke the window out of the vehicle
Yes.
And sold it for scrap.
Yes.
Without evidently any kind of documentation or receipt, maybe there's a receipt we'll see later on. And you're gonna take their word for what happened, just on his face?
The fact that they actually identified her in a photo lineup, if they wouldn't have been able to identify anybody, I would have been really suspicious of their story.
Well, let's back up. Maybe they could identify her because she actually did sell the vehicle legitimately one time. So that's how they're able to identify her, right?
That's not what they said.
When people lie to you, so nobody lies to you also? Nobody
Nobody
lies?
lies to the police.
Sure, nobody lies to the police. Just because they're telling you that, I mean, does that mean it's true?
If they would have just told me that, it wouldn't carry near as much weight as the fact that they identified her from a photo lineup.
Well, let's
Told me what apartment she lived in.
Let's look at the facts. We know, let's just assume, she sold a vehicle to them previously, an SUV, right? Without a problem.
Okay.
Not a stolen vehicle, legitimate transaction. These two guys know her, right?
Yeah.
They know what she looks like, because she sold them an SUV.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
She lives in that apartment.
Yeah.
Maybe when they're taking the SUV, they got their eyes on this Buick. Looking, it looks like an abandoned, it's like nobody cares, it's got, dilapidated. So they go back a week later. Around, right there, they hook it up to their tow truck, pull it around to the side of the building.
At this point, I would check the defense counsel arguing instead of asking a question.
This is a question. I'll get to it.
Well, okay,
Well, this is a hypothetical cross-examination. I mean, I'm asking what's plausible here. As far as what his rationale is to establish probable cause of arrest, or what about the other facts?
yeah, but I'm saying your question, could you, break it up? I mean, you take about a paragraph to ask one question.
Let me back up.
Okay.
You got two guys, right?
Yes.
They've been out to this complex before, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
They purchased previously a vehicle from this young lady, right?
Yes.
An SUV,
Yes.
right? They know what she looks like, right?
Yeah.
They know what apartment she's gonna have, right?
Probably. Yes.
Probably, yeah. While they're there towing her SUV after they purchased it from her, do you think that perhaps maybe they saw this Buick, dilapidated looking Buick in the parking lot? Is that possible?
Sure.
So maybe they come back. Right?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't know.
Well, we know that they did come back.
Yeah.
So they did come back.
Yeah.
And we know that they hooked that Buick up to their truck.
Yeah.
And they didn't have a key for it,
Right.
right? And they towed it off.
Yep.
They got no proof that they purchased it. Right?
Right.
Bill of sale, receipt, time, done. And when you talk to Mr. Carter, did he tell you that skid marks led to the side of the building, and this is where the broken glass was, on the side of the building, between the building and a row of bushes? Right here. Did he tell you that?
I don't remember that, no.
Well, if I represent to you, that's what he's testifying.
Okay.
That the glass, broken glass was found on the side of the building. All of those things wouldn't indicate to you that maybe Kevin and Nelson had a motive to lie about talking to her, and they were able to identify her or give you this identification of her because they had previously dealt with her buying the SUV, and they're making this up about the car, her selling the car to them. Did that occur to you?
Sure.
So the fact that they identified her wouldn't really mean that much, would it? Because they knew her from the previous occasion, not from the car. I mean, the car had been the only occasion that they dealt with her, right? That's pretty solid. But you've got this prior occasion where they've seen her, they know what she looks like, they can identify her. They both have. Did it occur to you that maybe that's what the application is predicated on? Not the fact that this is the person that sold her the car, but the fact that they're trying to cover themselves for stealing the Buick?
That's what they testify, or not testify, that's what they stated to me.
And people don't lie to you, to cover themselves.
People lie all the time.
Mr. Booth, Detective Booth, I bought this car. I bought this car. I didn't know it was stolen. How many times, right?
But that's why we're here.
And what do you say?
That's
Where's
not for
your-
me to decide that she did it or not.
Do you say, where's your bill of sale, Mr. Suspect? Where's your receipt, Mr. Suspect? How do you explain the broken window, Mr. Suspect?
He said why he did that, because so he could try to tighten up, straighten up the wheel so he could tow
So I could steal it. You had to break the window to steal it, right?
it. Just tow it away, he had to break the window to tow it away.
Sure.
I was objecting your.
Hold on, Mr. Kimberly, what's your objection?
The question called for speculation.
Is it possible,
Objection sustained.
was it possible they're stealing the window
Is it possible?
based on the circumstances?
Yes.
Sure. But you chose to believe them over her because she talked to you, right?
Yeah, I asked her and she denied it.
What'd she tell you?
She said she didn't sell a car to anybody.
She told you she sold the SUV to them, right? And again, this was, should have been recorded, right?
I asked her about selling a white Buick around Thanksgiving, and she said she didn't know what I was talking about, and she denied selling any car to anybody.
Did you ask her if she sold an SUV to them?
No.
Was this interview recorded? Where did this interview take place?
I was standing at the door of her apartment.
Did you have your body cam on?
No,
She cooperate with you? She talked to you?
Yeah.
So based upon your interview with her, these two guys identifying her through this photographic procedure, that's why she got arrested.
yes,
They charged.
yes.
That's it? That's it.
That's it.
She didn't tell you, Detective Booter, I feel really bad about this. Yeah, I know that car wasn't mine, and I sold it to them. I admit to stealing it. I can confess, be a culp, I did it.
No,
So the only thing, I just want to make sure we're clear, right? The only thing,
Mr. Kimberly, please go to the podium.
I apologize.
Okay.
I'm gonna move around, I can't stand up. The only things that you and the state of Texas are asserting as facts against her are the statements of these two guys, unsupported by any evidence other than their statements, that they gave her $200 for this car.
yes.
Pass the witness.
Okay. Mr. Hill, you may proceed.
Thank you. So, in the photo lineup, you testified that both Kevin and Nelson picked out photo number 4 from the lineup.
Kevin and Nelson both picked out number 4. Yes.
Any further?
You may proceed.
Showing you what's marked as State's Exhibit number 8.
Yes,
That photo number 4 from the lineup.
yes, it is. Yes,
And that photo was the individual in the court today, when that should be named Joyer.
Yeah.
McGuire, rather. And when you went to Kevin's home, in the time he wasn't there, you had run the VIN numbers of all the vehicles that you had found at that residence, correct?
Right.
And none of them returned stolen.
No.
Um, And you have states exhibit 2 and 3 in front of you currently?
Yeah.
Those are the text messages between, uh, Kevin Namorado and the individual he identified as the seller, correct?
Yes.
And those, you took the images of those yourself, so to speak, for the police
I
department?
believe I did, yes.
And in those text messages, does the individual who was identified as the seller by Kevin Namorado, say that they had permission from a third party, Chris Jacobs, to sell the vehicle?
Yes, it mentions Chris Jacobs. You want to read it?
No, sir. So, and that same individual who was identified as the seller by Kevin Namorado, was the individual in, identified in the photo lineup as Lamesh Montoya?
Yes.
Montoya?
Yes.
And in fact, you did speak to Ms. Montoya at her apartment,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Where she identified herself as Lamesh Montoya?
Yes.
Mr. Kilmer asked you some questions about checking for warrants for, people who come in for interviews. Is it common for members of the auto theft task force to check for warrants of people who are coming in for interviews?
I don't know how the other guys handle their business, but I typically don't.
Okay.
Because I don't, can I explain why?
Sure.
I don't, because if you're willing to come in and talk to me, and then I put you in jail for a traffic warrant, then you're not gonna be willing to talk to me anymore or ever again.
So, would you say that the purpose for not checking for warrants during this process is that you're trying to conduct an investigation?
And maintain cooperation between me and the potential suspect or witness or whoever I'm interviewing.
So, and have you worked patrol?
Yeah, I worked patrol for 4 years.
Then, and that's a completely different environment, would you say?
Yes.
Okay. And in that environment, you'd be more likely to check for warrants more.
You check warrants on everybody, complainants and suspects.
And you've already testified that you're familiar with the Texas Penal Code in regards to that?
Yeah.
And is possession necessarily required, by the Texas Penal Code for one to commit the theft?
But I mean, you can, I have to read it. I mean, I can't recite it to you verbatim, but you have to have knowledge that it was stolen or reasonably believe that it was stolen to be charged with it.
But would you say selling a vehicle that does not belong to you without the effective consent of the owner of that vehicle is theft?
Yes.
Now, we talked about the warrant issue earlier, but in a similar vein, you didn't choose to pursue charges on Kevin and Nelson for theft in this case, is that correct?
Right.
Can you explain why?
Because the story that they told me that they bought it from an individual and was able to identify the individual corroborated their statement, in my opinion.
I'm going to show you what's marked as states 16 again. Now, can you identify that, or can you identify that once again for the record?
Yeah, that's an NADA guide's price report
Okay.
on a vehicle in a 97 Buick LeSabre.
And for your job as an auto theft investigator, do you check for the retail price of vehicles very often?
On a regular basis.
So would you say for most cases?
Yeah, for most cases.
So, and when you do so, after you made that search, do you record the report very quickly at or near the time that you made the inquiry?
Yeah, I usually print it out.
And is that a record that you keep in the regular course of your occupation as an auto theft investigator?
Yeah, I would keep it with the case file.
And making that record is regular practice for you as an auto theft investigator.
Yes.
This one state will post to the business record.
Your Honor, I know he's attempting to prove it up as a business record, but
It's a record of
regularly conducted activity, but this is being offered for the truth of the matter asserted, not as a record of regularly conducted activity. To me, the exception that would tend to prove this up would be a learned treatise or scientific journal, something that contains information that's relied upon in the field because it's being derived from another source, a website or a book or a reference material, but it's not a record of a regularly conducted activity. It's a business record. It's in the context of a learned treatise, that type of thing. So I would object that it's still hearsay. There has been an exception proved up for it. Well, potentially there could be. Also, his testimony, if it's predicated on this as hearsay, the testimony itself would also be hearsay. The document itself is hearsay, and any testimony predicated on that document is hearsay.
Objection sustained.
showing you what's marked as state 17. Do you recognize that?
Yeah, that's the receipt.
Okay.
That Kevin got when he sold the car. Or sold the, there's a picture, it looks like the Buick, the white Buick there in the picture.
Okay, so it's the same receipt that you got during the course of your investigation.
Yes.
And there's no alterations anyway.
No.
Okay, state is not offering states 17 this time. Go with this one more time. States Exhibit 16. So, once again, um, you were an auto theft investigator, correct?
Yes,
And how many years of experience do you have in that field?
in auto theft, about 27 years, almost 27 years.
Um, so would you say that you have expertise in that regard?
I'd say I'm pretty knowledgeable.
And this, sheet that you're referring to, that you search often for every case, it's a reliable authority?
I believe so, yes.
Like you said, you use it for every case. Um, So that, at this point, subject to defense's objection, um, I would ask um, I would ask the witness to read the average retail price, that's listed on the exhibit.
Your Honor, again, I don't think he's adequately cleared up the learned treatise exception, which I'll just object that it's still hearsay. I think that's the direction we're going in. I will object, I don't think it's been properly cleared up.
The, I mean,
Mr. Hill,
the witness is, has 20 years of experience in this field. He's an expert as an auto theft investigator. This information that he's looked up and received is from a reliable authority based on based on the expert's testimony.
okay, you said that he didn't lay the proper predicate, right?
I believe for the learned treatise exception, I'm gonna just leave it as a hearsay objection, leave it there.
Okay, well, okay, now, if he didn't lay the proper predicate, what did he, you want to take to?
I'm just leaving it at hearsay. Your Honor.
Okay, would you, I'm saying to sustain the objection, would you please lay the proper predicate?
They request a short recess, Your Honor. Or this one will be a break for that.
Okay. It's after 5, okay. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, it's after 5 o'clock, and so we're gonna break for the evening. Before I let you go, I need to find out. I need to take a look at our dockets for tomorrow morning. And that'll tell us what time, that'll give me an idea what time I need you to come back on tomorrow. Hopefully, we'll be able to come back before 1:30. I don't think our Friday dockets is as large as our other dockets. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. The court is we're gonna be in recess until 11 a.m. on tomorrow morning, so we need to have everyone here at 11 a.m. And just please have a seat outside the courtroom when we're ready. The bailiff will come out and get you. Okay, so at this time, will everyone please stand and follow the bailiff, and the jury, would you follow the bailiff out into the hallway? We'll be in recess until 11 a.m. on tomorrow.